We start today, though, by saying good morning to Jonathan Delph. Jonathan is sales manager at BCB International. They're a Welsh company. You might remember they've been on the show before, bringing us bomb-proof pants and shark repellent. They've now developed an innovative device to help with flash floods. So if you have been affected by the rain in recent months and are thinking about protection for your home or business for the future, this might be something for you. Jonathan, lovely to see you.
Morning.
Good morning.
Tell us a bit about SandBagger.
Well, the SandBagger was an idea that our research and development team came up with. Originally, it was designed for the military. I used to be in the army, and I can tell you from experience, filling sandbags is back-breaking work.
It often falls to the military to come and sort out areas
It does,
in
yeah.
the UK.
It does, and the trusty sandbag is a staple of flood protection. But they are difficult and time-consuming to fill. And very often, in flood situations, people don't have a lot of time and they don't have a lot of equipment to hand. So the sandbagger is there to help people quickly prepare flood defences around their home or around their business.
I went to Ceredigion to report on the floods there, and it was so devastating for all of those families who were caught up in that. And when you walk into someone's home that's been absolutely devastated by 4 feet of flood water, you can see why, for those families, this can't come too soon.
That's right. Floods can cause untold amount of damage, and very often it's not just the amount of property damage that's lost, but for businesses, it's time where they've got to repair their shop front or their business premises. It's families who've got to leave their homes and rent hotels or accommodation or stay with friends and relatives. It's hugely disruptive.
And it isn't always water either. I mean, the thing about Ceredigion was so many of those communities were on septic tanks and on oil tanks because they were, off the networks. It was sewerage and oil washing through their houses. I mean, it's a lot worse than water.
Yeah, also many of our rivers, particularly in this region, will be carrying vast quantities of silt and mud, and what people don't realise is that once the water recedes, you end up with all of that silt and mud, and getting that out of carpets or furniture or even just out of the floor and the walls of your house is very difficult.
So let's talk about the practicalities then of the SandBagger. I mean, how massive is this piece of equipment?
It's relatively small. I'd say it's probably about the same size as a medium size coffee table. Mm-hmm. It comes up to about hip height once it's been erected, but it packs down to a smaller size so that it can be put away in a garage or in an outhouse somewhere. So it's not going to take up a huge amount of room, and it's quite lightweight. An adult male can move it quite easily.
Yeah, so it's storable then. You can store it somewhere. You've got your sandbags. The sand is the issue, isn't it? Having that to hand, I guess.
You can use sand, or you could use gravel, or even just earth. Anything really like that, like loose shale that you can put into a sandbag will add a measure of protection. Sand is great, but if you don't have that, you can always just use ground earth.
And how much is it?
It's just under £200.
And presumably, I mean, your clients, as they are with all of your products, are not just in the UK, they're around the world.
That's right. I mean, we've exported this particular product all over the world. It's even gone, amusingly enough, to Saudi Arabia, of all places. They've obviously got enough sand there, not so much problems with the floods. But it's gone out to Poland. In the winter of last year, the Polish had a huge problem in Warsaw where they had massive flooding caused by very rapid snowmelt. And I think we sent somewhere in the region of about 65 direct to Warsaw.
It's an innovative company, BCB, isn't it? I mean, you've got all these clients all around the world, all these products. A lot of them have military applications. Where did the story of the company start?
Way back in the Crimean War, a chap called Dr. Brown invented a cough medicine, which is very popular with the troops out there because it had morphine in it, something which wouldn't be allowed today. And he invented what he called Brown's cough bottle. That's where the BCB comes from. And then over the years, it's gradually evolved. It's always kept a link to military type products, but also survival products for people going on expeditions to far off countries, for people in high risk industries. So we supplied a lot of equipment into the marine environment, for example, offshore platforms, life rafts. We've made survival kits for fast jet aircraft, whole range of different products.
And they're designed and developed in Cardiff. Are they manufactured here as well?
A lot of them are manufactured either here in Wales or in the UK, but we also have larger order quantities manufacturing plants out in the Far East.
Yeah, and how common is it? Is it becoming more common now that these applications that you've got, you're seeing domestic uses for them?
Yeah, absolutely. We've recently produced a survival grab bag, which contains a whole range of different products, an emergency torch, emergency rations, water, survival blankets, those kind of things for people who are in high-risk areas. And we often think of, crises like floods and earthquakes, all that kind of thing, as being something that happens a long way away. But as I think the floods most recently have demonstrated, that can happen quite close to home too.
How's business?
It's pretty good, actually. Although the recession obviously is nipping at everyone's ankles. We're an innovative company. We make new products, and because we make new products, that helps us to keep ahead of the game.
And what about people with new ideas? I mean, do they have to necessarily work for the company to be able to bring you new ideas, or do you welcome thoughts and ideas from, all kinds of people?
Yeah, we do take ideas from outside. We've got a new product in development now, actually, which was two ex-army guys came up with, and we're looking at seeing how we might bring that to market. Not everything is commercially feasible, and some ideas are maybe not so good. But we do a lot of both internal research and development work, but we also go out to our customers and ask them what kind of problems they have, and we try and reverse engineer a solution.
And we reported on the military cutbacks, the army cutbacks last week. I mean, how you don't think about it, I suppose, on those headline days, but how do those military cutbacks affect a company like you who supply the military?
Well, they're obviously going to be a factor, but what we find is that while we might find that the European defence market is shrinking, elsewhere in the world, their militaries are expanding, and very often they're trying to modernise their armies and bring them up to date. And we've got the equipment that we can offer to them for that. We also are working in quite niche areas, so we're developing a new unmanned airborne vehicle system and various other products. So yes, when we look at the European and UK military, it is getting smaller, but it's also getting more advanced and more technical, and that's where we try and place ourselves.
Jonathan, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed for
much.
coming in to see us this morning. Jonathan Delf is Sales Manager at BCB International.